So, E3 2019 is over, and it was different. Especially with the lack of Sony being there, which resulted in lots of games actually being announced for the PS4, so I guess it worked out. I'm gonna run through some of the games that caught my attention, for better or worse. But as far as the order goes, I am going to switch it up here and there, but for the most part, this is in order alphabetically. I don't know why I couldn't find a list that was done by conference, but there you have it. This one is going to also be just a little bit unscripted, which is to say a lot of it unscripted. I'm trying to write it out in my head. So if I'm a little more incoherent than usual, if that's even possible, that's why. Also, sorry all the footage is at 30 frames per second. It has something to do with the thing I use to get the videos, so I apologize for that. So, without further ado, first on the list is Baldur's Gate 3. Now, I'm not sure if I've ever mentioned it on this channel, but holy shit, I love Baldur's Gate. I love the sheer, pure RPG-ness of it all. It was actually one of the first games I bought when I got the laptop I'm currently working with, and that was an experience. I really love these games, so seeing a new one announced is awesome, and apparently a lot of the original creators are working on this one. Apparently they're changing up the lore just a bit to make it more in line with the standard Forgotten Realms stuff, so hopefully that won't affect the game in general. It shouldn't, I don't think. Unfortunately, what we saw was just a CG trailer. No gameplay footage, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and assume this will at least be a decent RPG. Not much to say here, except hype! Baldur's Gate 3 is announced for the PC, so hey, PC pros, you guys got something good to look forward to. Next up is Blair Witch, which I'm honestly just kind of mentioning because somebody kept telling me about it, and, you know, I figure I'll take a look at it. And it looks like a Slender Man clone, to be honest. Is Slender Man still a thing? Okay, to be fair, it may have some other elements. It almost had a Resident Evil 7 vibe in a few places, so if done right, it could be a legitimately good survival horror game. The only problem is, I believe the trailer was entirely CG, so take it with a grain of salt. That's apparently headed to the PC and Xbox One, so if you have one of those, well, maybe it'll scratch an itch for spoopy games. Next on the list is an indie game called Blazing Chrome, which looks a lot like the old classic Contra games. And yeah, it looks pretty cool. It has that 16-bit arcade-style look to it, and, well, I don't have a ton to say about this one, except if you're into that kind of game, it probably is right up your alley. This one's headed to the PS4, PC, Switch, and Xbox One, so pretty much if you own any of the current consoles, you're in a good place. Speaking of Contra, hey, Contra's getting 2 new entries. Well, new is subjective, as the first one is simply an anniversary collection. This is pretty similar to what Castlevania recently got in that it's a collection of the old games with the various different region versions included. So if you ever wanted to play the European version, Probotector, hey, you've got it here. This one is actually already out, and I mean, if you're into Contra, that is not a bad deal at all. The other is Contra Rogue Cores. It looks bad. I just don't get what they were going for here. I think it's supposed to be a 3D Contra, but it doesn't really look like Contra, and it's just weird. Seems fans aren't too receptive towards this either. It's ugly, it looks like it's a mess, I don't know. What were you thinking, Konami? Oh, right, Konami, that explains it. Both of these are available on pretty much all the different systems, so PC, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or Switch, they've got you covered. But seriously, just if you're a Contra fan, get the Anniversary Collection. That other one does not look good. Carrion is an indie pixel horror game headed to Steam, with the unique twist that you are the monster. Yeah, not often you get to be the horror in a horror game. The gameplay seems to basically speak for itself, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't at least a little bit interested. It also seems like it'll run on a potato, so as long as you've got a 64-bit operating system, looks like it'll run on just about anything. Next up is Code Vein, which some of you may have already played since there was a network test not long ago. Sadly, I was unable to get into the test, and I missed out on that juicy character creation system, which is a major draw for me in a lot of games. It's a bad habit, I know. Beyond that, the game seems to be sort of an easier version of the Soulsborne style games. Meaning, if you're not really good at those kinds of games, but you really like them, this anime-themed alternative might be right up your alley. This one's coming out in September, I believe on the 27th, for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. Next is Collection of Mana. Exactly what it sounds like, a collection of the Mana series. Strangely, it only has the first 3 entries: Final Fantasy Adventure, Secret of Mana, and Trials of Mana, or as it's better known, Seiken Densetsu III. I'm not sure why Legend of Mana isn't included, or why they chose the original Game Boy version of the first game instead of something like Sword of Mana, but hey, it's a nice little collection. This one's exclusively for Switch, so if you have a Switch, it's probably worth picking up. Of course, this led into what was the highlight of E3 for me this year. A remake of Seiken Densetsu III, which is, again, titled Trials of Mana. And, oh my god, I am so happy for this. You see, Seiken Densetsu III never came out in the West until this collection. But, hey, we all played it. We all emulated the shit out of that game with the English patch, and it is still a fantastic game. And this remake looks like it's going to blow it away. Unfortunately, the remake has been confirmed to have no multiplayer, so that's a bit of a bummer, as that's a huge draw for these games. But at the same time, everything else looks so good, and I am so happy. This one's coming to the Switch, PS4, and PC, so you're covered as long as you're not an Xbox-only person. Sorry, Xbox fans. And of course, there's Cyberpunk 2077. Is there anything we really need to say about this one? It's a huge RPG from the guys that made The Witcher 3, except now it has Keanu Reeves in it, and it is breathtaking!
You're breathtaking!
Hey, we've seen it in action, everything looks good, I'm happy, I'm looking forward to it. And CD Projekt Red has pretty much convinced me that they are very, very skilled developers, so I think this one's in good hands. This one hits April 16th next year on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Next up is Doom Eternal. And it's Doom. Like, just more Doom. And I mean that in a good way. That reboot was fantastic, and this looks like more of the same fun. Not much to really add on to that except rip and tear. Doom Eternal is headed to the PS4, PC, Switch, and Xbox One, so no matter which system you call home, you can probably get your hands on it. Next is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, the formerly referred to Project Z 2019. And my reaction is meh. I'm simply not impressed. Especially this year, where there's so many awesome RPGs being shown off. This one just looks like it exists. I'm not impressed by the floppy-looking animation or the mediocre models, and the combat looks shallow. Even as a Dragon Ball fan who eats up a lot of pretty mediocre games, this one looks like it's gonna be a pass. Now, refrain from passing too much judgment on it until there's like a playable demo maybe, but I'm not holding my breath. This looks like it's going to be a very repetitious, monotonous game, kinda like most of what CyberConnect 2 does. Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is headed to the PS4, PC, and Xbox One. It seems the rumors were true, and A Song of Ice and Fire creator George R.R. Martin is indeed working with From Software on a new game. To what end, we don't know. The trailer didn't really show us much, and it was basically just CG. Just a teaser announcement trailer, so I'm not gonna give it flack. I'd be lying if I said I'm not curious, though, because who knows what they're going to make. Let's just hope it doesn't go all Season 8 of Game of Thrones on us. The project, Elden Ring as it's been named, is headed for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. And now for nobody's favorite laughingstock, Bethesda and Fallout 76. Okay, in all fairness, as much of a train wreck as this game has been so far, the first DLC announcement, Wastelanders, isn't terrible. It's just what the game should have been to begin with. They're finally adding a story and actual NPCs, choices, consequences, stuff that reflects your skills and such. You know, the stuff that makes a good Western RPG a good Western RPG. And I'm not going to make fun of them for adding this stuff, but still, why didn't you make this game to begin with? Still, it's a step in the right direction, and I will give them credit for that. Of course, they immediately ruin any goodwill they gained with that trailer by following it up with a battle royale. Yes, the Fortnite 76 jokes are actually real now. God damn it, Todd Howard. Oh, but this isn't even the worst thing that they announced. Oh, not even close. No. 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 No! 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 Fuck you! Okay, to put this into context for those of you who may not understand the outrage, Commander Keen was an early 90s platformer, and for myself and many others, it's one of our earliest childhood memories. And this is an abomination. This is a disrespect to that fan base. They dug up a 30-year-old corpse to shit on it. From what I've heard, one of the games was ported over to the Switch. It's $10, it's a better use of your time. Or better yet, just download that game on your laptop, PC, whatever, and run it through DOSBox or something, because it was free originally. And as you do, give a nice big hearty helping of a middle finger to Bethesda. Okay, enough of that shit, we'll get back to the real games now. Namely, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered. This is an HD update of a game that originally came out on the GameCube. And, well, it was kind of difficult to play there because even though it was multiplayer based, it was one of those games that required each player to have a Game Boy Advance. I still have no clue what the idea was behind this, but the new version seems to strip out that requirement, thank goodness. Downside is, it looks like if you're playing this, it's gonna be online or solo. There does not seem to be any offline co-op. But I think people can deal with that because, hey, online co-op is a nice feature, and I think it benefits the game a lot more now than the obtuse multiplayer system the original had. So, I'm keeping my eyes on this one. This looks like a fun choice. Crystal Chronicles Remastered is headed to the PS4 and Switch. And then there's the big one, the one that everybody was waiting for Square Enix to reveal. Final Fantasy VII's so-called remake. And I'm not feeling it. I'm sorry, I just don't see Final Fantasy VII when I look at it. In all fairness, it looks better than it did previously. It looks like something more than a brainless button masher. Thank goodness. But I feel like it's still missing the soul. And the fact that it's episodic, I don't know. I'm not feeling it here. That being said, if there's a demo or something, I intend on at least trying it, because it doesn't completely repulse me. However, I have at least a few gripes. Namely, that the enemies based on the footage we've seen are kind of damage sponges. The footage of Cloud fighting the first boss with Barret, I don't know, it kinda lasted a while. But maybe those are things that were just there so they could show off more game mechanics or something, I don't know. I'm also not fond of Tifa's new design. It's not because she's showing less skin or anything stupid like that, I just feel it doesn't flow very well. It's too busy. But beyond that, I don't know, I'm not sold on it yet. I'm going to hold back my judgment. I'm just happy that it looks less like a dumpster fire than it did before. The game is slated for a March 3rd release next year on the PlayStation 4. What I am feeling, however, is Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. This one is a treat that came right out of left field. I don't think anyone saw this coming, and I'm so glad they revealed this. One of the things that immediately caught my eye is the upgraded character models. It looks significantly improved, as though they brought it up to PS2 standards. And I realize that is such a weird thing to say because the PS2 was a long time ago, but it allows it to look fresh and new, while still retaining that retro feel. I love it, and I am super duper happy about this upcoming remaster. This is on its way to the PlayStation 4, the Switch, the PC, and the Xbox One. No matter which of the systems you're on, you're pretty much covered. Next is Greedfall, a pirate-themed RPG. I apparently have missed out on this as it was revealed some time ago, and I feel kind of dumb about that because it looks kind of cool. Supposedly the developers are working really hard to make your choices matter really importantly and to have a well-fleshed out story, and that is a big part of what makes a good RPG, so color me interested. This has been a great time for RPGs, and I love how there's all these new ones coming out left and right. Greedfall is headed for the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, and PC. Next on the list is the upcoming spiritual successor to Fallout New Vegas, from the same developers no less, the recently Microsoft-acquired Obsidian Entertainment. And yeah, this game looks pretty freaking cool. Once again, it's a huge Western RPG that has a focus on character building and having the game react to how you play. So, I'd be lying if I said anything other than I am very interested in this. Not much to say since we've already seen it in action, but hey, those of us that have a PlayStation 4, Xbox One, or PC, we've got something to look forward to. And because they can't go any chance without stealing our hearts, once again the Phantom Thieves are here, this time dubbed in English with the trailer for Persona 5 Royal. Unfortunately, it's the Japanese reveal trailer with English voices put on top of it. It even has the Japanese text still. On the plus side, this means they've already cast the new characters, or at least some of them, and that's a good sign. With luck, we'll get it early next year and not have to wait a long time. So, yeah, the trailer is a bit of a disappointment, but my hype for the game is still intense. And of course, Persona 5 Royal is currently a PlayStation 4 exclusive. So here was one right out of nowhere. Apparently Phantasy Star Online 2 is finally getting a Western release on Xbox One. It also seems to be getting a PC version, so, if you want to go that route, it seems to be an option. From what I can tell, it's only a timed exclusive on the Xbox One, and that it'll eventually reach the other platforms, but it's not entirely clear. Still, you gotta hand it to Microsoft, that is kind of a win. Especially after all these years. Keeping with the trend of JRPGs, next is Romancing SaGa III and SaGa Scarlet Grace Ambitions. Both of these are basically remasters, with Romancing SaGa III being one I'm really looking forward to, as the original game never made it outside of Japan. Well, much like Seiken Densetsu 3, I emulated it, because I'm a naughty boy! So I'm really excited to see this one make a Western debut, because I greatly enjoyed it. It's a rather interesting take, as it's nearly open world despite being an SNES game, though rather than creating your own character like many open world RPGs do, you select one from a huge cast and are able to run around the world recruiting new members. The other, SaGa Scarlet Grace Ambitions, is apparently a remaster of a Vita game. I know next to nothing about this, and I'm only putting it here because both games were in the same trailer. SaGa games do tend to be a bit hit or miss, and I know next to nothing about this one, so I can't say. Maybe I'll peek in on it, maybe not. Romancing SaGa III is headed to the PS4, the Switch, the PC, the Xbox One, and strangely enough, the PS Vita. Square went and pulled an Atlas. SaGa Scarlet Grace Ambitions is headed to the PS4, Switch, and PC. Next on the list is a surprisingly charming little indie title that's one part Friday the 13th the game, one part Gmod Murder, and 2 parts Homer Simpson strangling Bart. I don't even know what to make of this, but it looks really charming, and I really am curious about this. Hopefully it winds up being a good one, because let's face it, this is definitely a unique idea for a game. Secret Neighbor is headed for the Xbox One and PC. Keeping with the theme of indie games for a moment, next up is Terraria, Journey's End. This appears to not actually be a game or expansion, but rather just the free update for the game. I don't really know myself, but it appears to add a substantial amount of content. I'm simply listing it on here because, hey, I like a good round of Terraria from time to time. Also, because a friend of mine would probably slap me if I didn't mention it. So here it is, and it looks pretty neat. Last but not least is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. And holy crap, this one looks great as well. Yet another huge RPG with tons of choices, and I don't even know how to describe how excited I am. The first one is a classic. There's an old saying where every time you mention this game, somebody has to reinstall it. I hope the second one proves to be just as great. Not much to say here, just it's looking really good, and hopefully it gives you a metric crap ton of options to work with. And it will if the previews are anything to go by. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is headed for the Xbox One, PC, and PS4. So who quote-unquote won E3 this year? I think Square Enix did. Even though their biggest game really didn't grab me, they had a lot, and I mean a lot of great stuff. But I think it's time to bring this video to an end. It's gone on long enough. So if there was a specific game you wanted me to cover, I apologize if I missed it. And if you want to talk about your own E3 thoughts, obviously there's the comments section below. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I hope there's plenty of games in the coming year that you can enjoy too.